So John White here with the LK10 Community, and I am with my good friend Jim Mellon. Jim and Kathy have been friends of ours for probably at least 15 years. And I thought it would be important to give Jim an opportunity as a longtime house church leader to kind of reflect on the whole LK10 process and LK10 community. Jim has been involved with house churches way back. And so, Jim, if you could just share a little bit, just, how long have you and Kathy been doing house church? And I know it's not just one house church, but you have a network there in Killeen. So talk about that. And then I know also you were very involved in getting a house-to-house ministry started. So just a little bit of background on that.
Okay. Well, first of all, it's good to be here with you tonight, especially with all the technical issues we went through to pull this off. But yeah, Kathy and I planted our first house church in 1992. So we've been house church practitioners for over 22 years. We've planted house churches. We've helped in other areas, actually of the country, but more specifically Texas, helping people start house church. Many of our connections early on were through house-to-house ministries. We've been part of that for years. That's why I met John. We were both introduced through House to House, both on the board for House to House for a number of years, and then the last few years have been heavily involved with John in the LK10 ministry.
Right. And so, if Jim, if somebody didn't know anything about LK10, what it is, why it's been valuable for you and Kathy, what would be some of the key things that you think have been helpful, and why somebody might consider being a part of LK10?
Well, there's a number of practices, a number of tools. I think John was nicknamed the Tool Man, John the Tool Man at one point. But just some excellent tools that help house churches, especially help starting house churches. From my memory, I mean, it all seemed to start with the 10:2B prayer. Luke 10:2b, where we beseech the Lord of harvest to workers out into the harvest field. And so we started praying. That was the first taste we had of LK10.
Yeah.
And many of the other tools we practice in our house churches every week. We practice checking in, where we listen to one another's hearts, and then we learn to listen to God's heart by that, and it's helped us move to where we really feel the Holy Spirit has more of an opportunity to be involved in our lives and in our times together. The Luke 101 course, which is on LK10.com, is many of our people have gone through that course.
That's the Church 101 course.
Right. Excuse me, Church 101 on the LK10 website, and that really teaches you the basic. I mean, it's really a Church 101. So even after years of doing house church, being able to use these tools. Another tool that we've learned from the LK10 ministry has been coaching, and John's been coaching me for quite a while now. We do Google Hangouts on Tuesdays, and it's been vital to me personally.
Great. So that's exactly right. So the mission of LK10 is to connect and equip house church leaders all across the world. And so the equipping part is providing tools. Sometimes we say the tools are like a track to run on, very simple, very reproducible, very organic kinds of tools to connect people, first of all, on a heart level with each other, and then to connect people with the Lord, so that Jesus truly ends up being the Lord of the church, the leader who brings the agenda. So equipping is part of it, and then the connecting part. So the fellowship is a real key place through conferences, through our Hangouts, and it's been fun to have you have an opportunity to meet some of the other leaders really around the world at the conference. Right. I know the other night we were with Dennis, who's from Russia, on a Hangout, which was really fun. and I know they've enjoyed meeting you guys as well.
Yeah, it's really been great, and I think I just read where you've trained over 1,700 leaders over the first 7 years of Luke 10, and as we kind of take a turn, the Lord's just put on John and the board and some of the other people that are involved with Luke 10 some exciting things that are coming about, including an upgraded website and a number of other different tools that will be coming forth, training leaders, and it looks really exciting, and just great, happy to be a part of that.
Well, and you and Kathy have been some of the real trainers as well. I know not only there in Texas, but we've talked about how in your frequent trips, your frequent trips to India every year or two, you've trained probably a couple of hundred Indian pastors in these same rhythms. So we found them to be really cross-cultural as well as relevant here in the U.S.
Yeah, right. And one of the things that really emerged from some of these practices have been really vital in helping marriages, teaching people to listen. Listen to one another, learn to listen to their own heart. That was always a problem for me, just learning to listen to my own heart and being able to communicate. And so we've been able to teach this at married groups. We just recently finished premarital counseling with a young couple where she said his problem was he doesn't listen. And so by the time we got done, she was all excited because he was listening and he was talking. And so just beyond the house church aspect, just helping people in their marriages have been something that's helped us.
Right. So these two rhythms really are applicable in lots of different contexts, certainly in house church meetings, but also in families, marriages. So really been fun to see how that's worked. Well, Jim, it is just one of the real delights for me is to know you and Kathy. I value our friendship so much, and thank you for sharing some of your perspective on Luke 10. And so anybody who's watching this, we want to invite you, if you're not familiar with who we are, to come and explore. Again, the website is LK10.com. Lots of information there. Also glad to interact. If people have questions, you can email me. You can do that through the website as well. And so we want to sort of put the word out for anybody who's involved in house church, or really even small groups. We're beginning to work with traditional churches more that want to learn how to do really effective small groups. So anybody who is interested in that, we'd love to talk more with you. So, Jim, thank you for your time tonight. Say hi to Kathy for me.
Okay. Thanks, John.
Thanks, friend.